Alright, hello everyone, my name is Joe Scorson, channel is called Ethernet Link, and today I'm actually going to be giving you guys a tutorial on how I would myself make a moving average cost algorithm with futures. And so I'm kind of making this because I haven't found any of these like kind of simple tutorial algorithms on YouTube for futures, you know? I've seen a few with just holding stock, seen a few with options, vanilla futures, and I think that it would just be different and be good to know. So here we're in Quant Connect. We got some Python code, and they won't look like this as soon as you log into it. I'm kind of guessing that you have a little bit of knowledge about this whole system. So there'll be some code here and some code here. You can just get rid of all of that and add your end date. And this is how I have it set right here. Now, before we go any further, I am going to do a few things. First, I'm going to say that this is for educational purposes only. You should not trade real money with this strategy, ever. Don't do that. Don't, please. And I'm also going to try my best to record this all in one take because my editing software is giving me so many issues. I've tried like 5 and I don't have audio in any of them. Because I tried 5 free ones. But so, if there's any hiccups, just bear with me. I have my reference over here. And yeah, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and illustrate for you guys that might be new to this whole thing what the strategy would be. So imagine this black line is price, okay? And so this orange one will be fast moving average, so that will be more correlated with it and whatnot. And then you can call this purple one slow, and this one will be more slow and less correlated to the price. It'll be further away. So now, with this knowledge, what do we want our strategy to do? So we have these indicators. Okay, well, what do we want to set up for these indicators? What color do I want to use? We'll use green. So we wanted to in scenarios where the moving average, this fast one is above the slow one, we want to be long. In areas where this fast one is below the slow one, we want to be short, and then we want to be long. So the crossing of these two moving averages would be our indicator, our edge for trying to predict market momentum and price action. Okay, great. So I hope that you guys understand that. So we're basically playing this cross right here. As soon as this happens, boom, we're going to be short and hopefully be able to capitalize on a lot of downside. Now you can see the one inherent flaw in this is that it could be slow, but whatever. We're not actually trying to make an edge. We're just trying to warm the platform a little bit. It's okay. We know what we're going to be trading. We know how we're going to trade it. Now we need to make it. Okay, so we're going to come in here in our initialize algorithm. We're going to start an initialize and just go top to bottom. We're going to make some things on our data and then make some extra functions afterwards. Okay, excuse me. So, how are we going to do this? First thing we're going to do is we're going to add our future object into a variable. So we're going to say self.future equals self.add future. And because I've misspelled this a million times, I'm just going to copy and paste it from my reference so I don't make any issues. We're going to self.add future futures.indices.sp500 e-mini, comma extended market hours equals true. This isn't necessary, but like we're trading futures, they trade almost all the time, so it would be good to have all that data to be available to us. So we're just gonna make sure that the algorithm understands that we're looking to use everything. Okay. Now we have all these futures right here. What we're going to do next is filter them to kind of just the more relevant ones. So we're going to say self.future.set filter time delta 0 time delta 182. So now we have all the contracts that expire from today to 182 days out. And just for ease of use, we're going to store the symbol version of self.future into another variable. We're going to spell it right. Okay, now, this next part of the futures, this was in the QuantConnect example algorithm. I have no idea what this does, but I have it in my futures algorithms that I have live trading with fake money right now. I have it in all my tests. I don't know what it does, but I don't want to be the reason that something wouldn't work. So I just kind of keep it in all my programs, and I just kind of let it do its thing. Okay, so now, what else do we need to make this work? So we have our futures, but now, for ease of use later down the line, we're going to store what we would have our short positions in and our long positions in different places, just so it's easy to identify when we're short and long. So we're going to say short contract symbol. I'm going to initialize it to none, and then just going to copy that, and then change short to long. So we have the short contract symbol and a long contract symbol. Okay, great. Now we have what we're going to trade. Now we need what we're going to trade off of. So in this case, it's going to be the exponential moving averages cross. Okay, so let's make some moving averages. So we're going to say self.fast equals self.EMA. EMA. And now we need to say what symbol, what security we're making this for. So you can say self.symbol, because that stores future object. We need the period, so how many prices it's going to store before we make a decision. So let's just go with 13, and we need a resolution. Let's make it hour. Because why not? It'll be kind of short-term positions. Cool. So now I'm just going to copy that, and we'll come back down here. I'm going to say slow, and I'm going to make it a little bit longer. So let's say 21. All right, perfect. So now we're all done with the initialize section, just like that. Just like that. All right. So now we can move that. We can move down into on data. Now in on data, before we make our buy conditions and everything like that, what I want to do is add in a check or two to make sure that this algorithm just handles the way that we want it to. So before we do anything, we're going to check if these moving averages are ready. So we say if not fast that is ready, and not self.slow that is ready. What are we going to do? We're going to return. If they're not ready, just do nothing and wait for them. Okay, perfect. So now, excuse me. So now any of the other code that gets executed will execute when they're both ready. So okay, great. They're both ready. We have our objects. What do we want to do? Okay, so let's make our buy and sell conditions. So let's say if self.fast.current.value is greater than self.slow.current.value, and we're going to put another check in here. We're going to make sure that the price of our security is greater than the fast moving average. So the price itself is also above the fast moving average. So you can do that with this part of the code right there. So just and we're going to take the security version of the symbol, and we're going to take the price of it, and we're going to make sure that that is greater than the fast moving average. Okay, cool. So now if that's the case, what do we want to do? Well, we don't know yet. We have to see if our portfolio is invested. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Control B and just get that out of the way so that way all this code is on the screen. Okay, so now we have our condition present. Now we don't know if we're invested yet. And if we are invested, what we're invested in. Because that's our long condition. If we're invested in a short position, we want to close that short position and then enter a long one. And if we're invested and we're in a long position, we did our job. We don't want to do anything. So now we're going to preface if self.portfolio.invested. What do we want to do? Well, we want to check if we're short or if we're long. That's where these come into play. So if this is not none, meaning it stores a futures object in it, meaning it is something. That's not none, meaning it's a future. So then we can buy a future. self.byFuture and self.shortFuture are going to be functions that we're going to build later on. We're just going to get this this logic and the data done first. Okay, great. So now, still, there's two things that can happen if we're investing. We can either be in a short position or a long position. So I'm gonna write elif or long. What are we gonna do? But you could theoretically just put else, but I'm gonna write it out like this just because I don't want you guys to get confused at all. So I'm gonna copy it from up here. If long counter symbol is not none, what do we want to do? We want to do nothing. Just return. Okay, now we can just do an else, because if we are invested, and if we're not invested, then the opposite of being invested is being not invested. So there's only two outcomes. We can just use else nice and easily. And if we are not invested, we just want to buy a future. That is all. Alright, cool. Now we want to do the same thing, but with a short condition. So we can copy the whole thing and just simply flip these signs. And we're going to change this text to the opposite. So I did a few things at once there, I'm sorry. So I'll explain this once I'm done. Okay, perfect. So this is the exact same thing as up here, but the total opposite. So it's the same logic, but for a short condition. So if our short edge appears and you're invested in a long position, we want to close that long position and go short. That's what happens right here. And if we're not invested and our short position occurs, we just want to short one. Cool. Now we get to actually make these functions that buy and short these securities. So we're going to come back down here in correct indentation, because that matters in Python. And we're going to go def by future. We're going to pass it self. And we're going to pass it data. Cool. All right, now before I continue, I want to say that this code that I'm about to type is from QuantConnect. It is from the bootcamp tutorials on how they iterate through the chains. I add a little something different into when we actually enter the positions to make this logic all work. Okay, so now with that all the way, I'm saying that just because I don't want to take credit for it. Like, this is from QuantConnect. Like, this isn't something I want to take credit for. This is their code. All right, now with that out of the way, let me write QuantConnect's code. So, and I'm going to explain it as we go through it. So now we have our condition appearing, and we need to execute this whole line of code to buy a future. Okay, so now what do we need to do? Well, we need to iterate through the futures chain and pick the contracts that we want. So we say for chain in data.future chains. Is that the correct one? Yep. And one more thing. Up here, just to ensure I don't get any errors, I'm going to say data:/slice again. It shouldn't be an issue, but just in case, better safe than sorry. So for chain in data.future chains, what do we want to do? Well, we want to get a new list of contracts with the conditions that we want. So we can say contracts equals, and then the list of contract for contract in chain.value if the contracts have an open interest over 1,000. If I can spell this correctly, that'd be great. My hand's very cold. Open interest greater than 1,000. What does this mean? This means that we're going to iterate through the futures chain and only store contracts that have an open interest over 1,000 into this list variable. So if there's no liquid contracts, we're not going to store them in that variable. And theoretically, there should always be some over 1,000 with ES, but this is to make sure that we're only getting those. So we should theoretically always get the closest to expiration in most liquid contracts. And I say theoretically because there could always be a scenario where this list is empty for some reason. So we need to accommodate for that. So now we're going to say if the length of contracts is 0, there's no contracts. And we just want to continue. We just want to keep on going through our program like this works pretty much, and it should always work. But just in case it doesn't, we want to have this condition right here to make sure that we don't have any errors. So now what? Now we have to sort this list, make sure we have them in an order of greatest open interest to least greatest open interest, and then select that first contract to trade it. Okay, how do we do that? So now, because this is the long one, we're going to store it in our long contract symbol. So say long contract symbol equals sorted contracts plural. So Q equals lambda x dot open interest. I did not spell that right. There we go. And now we need to reverse it. And I'm going to make sure I spelled reverse right. Okay. Alright. And now we need to select the first one from this list, because this, we're using sorted, this returns a list. So, we need to select the first one, so that's all we need to do. 0 is 1 in computer science. I'm sure you guys know that you're into algorithmic trading. Alright, now, so we have the contract that we want to go long on saved in this variable right here. Cool. Now, how do we want to do that to make this logic up here work? Because you notice that there's no blatant exit position in this block of code. How are we closing the short position right here? Well, I'm going to show you. We're going to use something very, very useful called set holdings. And we're going to spell it right. How about set holdings? Okay. Alright, so now I actually did it so that way I can show you guys something. Liquidate existing holdings is a parameter that we can pass. So after we put our symbol and how much of our portfolio that we want to allocate to the symbol, we can say true or false. If we put true, then it's going to liquidate whatever positions that we had in the account before that. And if we leave it with nothing, it'll just keep them. But we want to close out these positions if we're entering them. Okay, perfect. So now what do we want to do? We want to buy this. We want to buy the symbol. So we're going to say it's like a long contract symbol dot symbol. We need to allocate a percentage of the portfolio to it. So we're going to put 20% on each trade. And we're going to say true to make sure that we liquidate that holding that we had originally in here. All right, and then we're going to say return. That's all. That's all our buy future function is going to be. And now we need to do the, in theory, same thing, but just short them. So we're just going to change the name of the function to short future. We're going to store them in the short contract symbol variable, and we're going to put a negative right there to make sure that we're going short 20% of the account on each of these function calls and on each of these purchases. Keep that true right there to make this all work, and there you go. There you have it. We're going to build, backtest this right now. I'm going to take a sip of this too. And there you have it. You guys just made your first future trading algorithm with a long and short moving average edge. Good job. Now I'm gonna let this run. I'm gonna say a few things. Again, don't trade real money with this. You can see it's not that great of a strategy. But regardless of that, it's just a concept of knowing what to do when your portfolio is invested, what is invested in, everything like that. Yeah, please don't put real money into this. I don't know if you can see that because of my face. Oops, not like that. Yeah, can you see return negative 17.5%? Don't put real money into this. It is not a good idea. But yeah, I hope that was a very concise and easy way for you guys to understand it. It was only about 20 minutes. You could build a futures trading algorithm in 20 minutes now in 2023. That's pretty great. That's pretty crazy if you ask me. Alright, now then. I hope that you guys all found value in this video. If you guys want any more videos like this with indicator tutorials for futures, any other examples that you guys want, if you guys have any like really weirdly specific questions, I could try and answer them. I could try and make an algorithm that'll work with it. And there's also the discussion forum on QuantConnect, so feel free to ask questions in there. They all seem like they're really eager to help each other, anybody out with any trouble that they're having. But yeah, that's all. I hope that you guys find value in this. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have any other questions for me, if you have any other algorithm ideas you want me to code, make a tutorial for it, if I come up with any of them, I'll be sure to post them. But yeah, that's all. My name is Joe Scorsone. Channel is called Ethernet Link. This is for educational purposes only. Do not put real money in this. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one.